Oh baby, today is not a good day if you're Mark Carney. Today's not a good day if you are a part of the Liberal Party trying to defend Mark Carney. Today is just not a good day for Canada in general. I'm not going to make this a political partisan issue. This is just a bad day for Canada, and it's exactly what we said we were going to get with a Mark Carney-led Liberal government. They are who we thought they were, as they say. And we see today that China has wasted no time in leveraging and putting pressure on the relationship they have previously and currently have with Mark Carney already. You remember when Mr. Paul Chang put a bounty on the head of Joe Teo, his political opponent in Toronto? You remember that, baby? You remember that? Well, that has come home to roost. Joe Teo lost his riding, and shortly after, Hong Kong authorities have detained his family. You can thank Mark Carney for that. You can thank Paul Chang for that. You can thank the CCP for working and messing with our elections for that. This is what we get. Breaking. Hong Kong police detain relatives of Canadian candidate targeted by Beijing election interference. In a striking escalation of Beijing's interference in Canada's parliament and its global campaign to silence dissent, Hong Kong police have reportedly detained and questioned relatives of former Conservative election candidate Joe Teo, who was targeted by aggressive Chinese cyber and ground operations during the recent federal campaign, according to the Bureau's intelligence sources. The move to detain and question Teo's cousin and the man's wife in Hong Kong, reported by multiple sources, including Hong Kong Free Press, appears aimed at ramping up pressure on Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney, whose campaign plausibly benefited from Beijing's interference and the Liberal pledge to fight President Donald Trump's global tariff regime. Teo, who lost by roughly 5,000 votes to his Liberal opponent in Don Valley North, has yet to comment on the detentions. As the Bureau previously reported, the RCMP advised Teo to suspend in-person campaigning during the final week of the election due to credible threats tied to foreign interference. The reported detentions occurred Thursday morning to the Fo Tan district of Hong Kong, where Teo's relatives were taken to a police station for questioning. While Hong Kong police have not publicly confirmed the operation, the tactic aligns with the Chinese Communist Party's growing use of family-based intimidation to suppress overseas dissent, a strategy documented across multiple countries by rights monitors and Western intelligence agencies. Thursday's detentions came just 48 hours after Carney's closed-door meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance in Washington. Carney has not publicly commented on the content of the meeting, but according to a U.S. intelligence community source, the agenda likely included PRC political interference, trade, espionage, fentanyl trafficking, money laundering, and Chinese national security threats across North America. Play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, Liberal Party, and you're putting your people at risk. Oh, he's a conservative, it doesn't matter. That shows you how they view conservative supporters. That shows you how they view the opposite side of the political aisle. They see you as the enemy that they can sell out to foreign actors. This is a disturbing story. The fact that this is escalating, and it shows you the amount of pressure that the PRC, the CCP, is able to put on Canadian citizens to make sure that they vote the right way, that they don't go against China, or else their family will be taken care of back in China. And the Liberal Party allows it. They don't just allow it. They actually work with these disgusting people. And they sell you out and sell out your rights and sell out your right to feel safe, or your right to feel comfortable, your right to live your life in Canada. Canada is just an extension of the CCP arm at this point. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I feel for Joe Teo. And shows you the extent of the election interference. The fact that the government told them, hey, you're probably going to need to suspend the final week of your campaign because you're putting your family in danger. You cannot run with a clear head, with a clear mind, because your family back home is being detained and watched by the government. And this is being allowed. The elbows up crowd, the I hate Donald Trump crowd, gave way to this. You voted for this. And it's been a tough week for Mark Carney, because as Sam Cooper lays out in this article, the Hong Kong Free Press says that this appears aimed at ramping up pressure on Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney. We'll see how he responds. He said nothing yet. Surprise, surprise. We're not surprised. This story broke this morning. We are now here coming in at 2 p.m. as I'm recording this Eastern time, and nothing has been uttered by our Prime Minister on this. One of our Canadian citizens, one who ran in an election, his family is being held over a barrel in a communist nation, and our government is doing nothing about it. That shows you where his priorities lie, and they're not with us, especially after what we just saw break earlier today as well. Trump agrees to cut tariffs on UK auto, steel, and aluminum in a planned trade deal with Britain, which would buy more American beef and streamline its customs process for goods from the United States. The symbolically resonant agreement still has yet to be finalized, but it suggested that Trump was still able to negotiate with other countries after his vast set of tariffs stoked fears around the world of an economic downturn and higher inflation. The announcement provided a political victory for UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and offered a degree of validation for Trump's claims that his turbulent approach on trade may be able to rebalance the global economy on his preferred terms. The U.S. president talked up the agreement to reporters from the Oval Office, even as the fine print remains in flux. The final details, he says, are being written up, Trump told reporters. In the coming weeks, we'll have it all very conclusive. This is a huge deal. Big deal done with the UK and the US, and especially of it being done on steel and aluminum with the UK, because that's the big one that we are dealing with right now with the United States. Mario kind of laid it out very nicely here. This is the summary of the deal. The US tariff reductions is tariffs on UK steel and aluminum is being reduced to 0%. Tariff on 100% of UK cars per year cut from 25% to 10%. Exports beyond this quota face 27.5%. Tariffs on UK jet engines and plane parts are eliminated. The 10% baseline tariff on most other UK goods remains unchanged. The UK's concessions are tariffs on US beef reduced to 0% with a tariff-free quota of 13,000 metric tons for UK farmers. Ethanol tariffs removed, benefiting US exports. A $10 billion UK airline purchase of Boeing planes, incorporating Rolls-Royce engines and parts. UK tariffs on foreign steel introduced, aligning with US trade goals. And that was the deal the UK was able to land with Trump, with Mark Carney in the room. Did you catch that in the meeting earlier this week?
I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually,
I
for the
know.
big announcement.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I want to hear more, Mr. Trump. All the BS and all the floundering that was happening before the election. Carney saying our relationship with the United States is done, and I'm going to go to the UK, I'm going to Europe, I'm going to China to secure more trade deals to go around the United States. And we've done the math. We've gone through the stats. A $1 trillion trade partner is not being replaced by 5 or 6 smaller $50 to $100 million. It's just not going to happen. But they made people think that was going to happen. That was the key. That was the issue. And this is a big issue. Aside from USMCA, which is essentially being used as kind of ground zero for the negotiations between Canada and the United States, this is putting serious pressure on Mark Carney. The reason why this is pressure because right now, UK is being led by the same type of people that Mark Carney frequents with. They view politics the same way. They view policy the same way. They view operating countries the same way. And if they're able to get a deal done with Trump, Carney better do something, or his base is going to turn on him very quick, as we've seen how quick they are to turn on people. We saw this with Rosemary Barton, where she did one tough interview with Mark Carney. Then all of a sudden, CBC is just a conservative mouthpiece. They keep saying all the same things that the right says about CBC. The problem is conservatives actually have proof of what the CBC does versus they did one tough interview with Mark Carney and all of a sudden she was the worst thing. But Mark Carney's already feeling a little bit of pressure. There are still some, the vast majority of the base, like, oh, this was a positive interview. This was a positive interaction with Donald Trump. This was good. This was good. But then others who were really sold on the elbows up mentality, the elbows up mantra. We even heard Down with Webster singing it at his victory party. Elbows up, elbows up. We saw him dancing. Well, guess what? Elbows were not up. It's still yet to be seen what happened in the closed door meetings. What was referenced earlier by Sam Cooper, saying, yes, there was conversations around fentanyl. There were conversations around the PRC. There was conversations around Chinese espionage and what he's going to do. Mark Carney's in a tough spot right now. And we'll see how he reacts, i.e. how Canada will react. Melanie Joly was in great spirits, said it was a great conversation.
Of the team was to make sure first, what was the idea of the team was to make sure first and foremost that Prime Minister Carney and President Trump could meet. That they could have a personal relationship that is important. Why? Because we know that President Trump is the sole decider of what's going on within the U.S. administration. And therefore, that relationship is key. It was shown not only in the public through a media conference, but also afterwards through a how would say, productive conversation that is established now. They know each other. They got to spend time together. Now, the next steps are definitely to see what can be done on the trade side and on the security side.
What can't be done? It was a positive meeting. It was all good. Well, that's yet to be seen. There are many people who saw that meeting with Donald Trump and Mark Carney who said, no, it wasn't good from a liberal perspective. For those who were just kind of seeing from the outside, I was like, yeah, it seemed pretty positive. It seemed like it trended in a good direction. But those who are in the Liberal Party, who are promised, the liberal supporters, liberal voters, who are promised an absolute beast in the room, absolute beast negotiator, going to go fight Trump, didn't get that. So with the UK deal coming in, that now puts an increased pressure on Canada. If they can't get as good as a deal or better, things are going to look dicey. That on top of pressure coming from the Conservative Party when they hit the House of Commons, of how they deal with the situation with Joe Tay, how they deal with the issue with China. And right now, two of the biggest superpowers right now have Mark Carney over a barrel. What is he going to do? All eyes are on Carney right now. Mr. Blanchet wasn't too impressed. And this is what he had to say about Mark Carney's meeting.
The expectations were not very high. Don't shame us in front of the president. Stand your ground. I believe he did that. He did not obtain any better deal about tariffs. We did not believe he would do that. He did not obtain the president from keeping this stupid idea of the 51st state alive. And he forgot, because it was very recent in time, to tell the president that it would be absolutely inadmissible for him to impose tariffs on this closely linked economy in cinema between United States, Quebec, and Canada.
Blanchet wasn't overly impressed. He said, yeah, he stood his ground to a degree, but all these other tariff issues, especially the recent one with the film industry here in Canada, he's done nothing about it. So again, we don't know what happened in that closed door meeting. We have an idea of what they talked about, but we don't really know. And if it went any way where the conversation went in public, looks like Canada might not be getting their elbows up deal. This is the reason, and we're seeing it plain sight. Donald Trump wanting Carney was not theater. He preferred Carney because he knows he could run him over. He didn't like Poilievre because Poilievre, say what you want about his strategy, and we've talked about that time and time again, his strategy of being pretty much anti-Trump and saying he's going to fight Trump. Well, the problem is Trump actually believed Poilievre. He didn't believe Carney. And Carney's shown that he's not going to be fighting Trump on anything. And if you think about it, if you're Donald Trump and you're trying to get deals done for your country, would you want to deal with the leader who's planning to keep everything in the ground, who's not looking to export oil to other countries and just wants to do deals with you? Or are you going to want to deal with the guy who's looking to diversify our resources and sell to other countries and bid up the price that you're going to have to pay for your country? Which one do you want? Because it is well documented how the Obama administration did backroom deals and engaged in shady practices to make sure they halted any type of pipeline development in Canada because it was bad for the United States. This stuff goes way back. Trump isn't new to this. This has been the tension between the US and Canada for a long time. Has Canada looked to try and to diversify our resources in a significant way? Not really. Have they looked to try and diversify our customer base significantly? Not really. But the other reason is because they've had immense pressure put on them by the United States to make sure they didn't diversify to other markets because the United States would lose out on cheap oil. And Mark Carney is looking to continue that process. So we'll see what happens. China's putting wicked pressure on Mark Carney already in the Liberal Party. You have Trump already putting wicked pressure on Mark Carney already with the deal they did with the UK. We'll see where this goes. We're going to keep a close eye on it. But anyways, have yourselves a good one. I'm out.